It's time for the Super Mario Bros. Wonder review for the Nintendo Switch. So, my honest reaction to watching this game's Nintendo Direct reveal was interested, but not ecstatic. It's been quite a while since I played a 2D Mario platformer, and now that I've completed this one, was it a more wondrous experience than I thought it'd be? Let's find out. The story, at its core, is quite familiar, but a different coat of paint helps liven things up. Mario and friends receive an invitation to the never-before-seen Flower Kingdom, hosted by the large and in-charge ruler, Prince Florian. Bowser decides to crash the party, though, and nabs the presented Wonder Flower. With its magical properties, he ends up fusing himself with Prince Florian's castle, becoming a monstrous castle himself. So, because Mario has a wondrous heart, he, Prince Florian, and company head out to rescue the kingdom. Before you begin the game, actually, you get to choose which character you'd like to play as from a handful of selections. I thought it was cool that Daisy is finally a playable character in a game like this, but I played as Mario for my first run, so that's who you'll mostly see and refer to in this review, but just know you can play as any of these as well. In addition, the Yoshis and Nabbit have an advantage, as well as a handicap, in that they cannot take damage, but they also cannot transform via power-ups. They're good selections for younger players beginning to understand the fundamentals of the game, which I thought was nice of Nintendo to include them. If you have a history of playing 2D Mario platformers, you'll already have a good understanding of what to expect. Start at the beginning of the level and work your way to the flagpole on the other side of the map. While familiar coins, power-ups, and enemies are present in each level, a few new objects and elements make their debut. The elephant fruit seems like an out-of-left-field idea, but it has its charm. Acquiring one will turn Mario into an elephant version of himself, allowing him to use his trunk to swipe away enemies and certain blocks with ease, as well as retain water for later use, specifically for watering plants and solving puzzles. You might think he'd move more slowly than normal, but he's just as agile as ever. He can also squeeze into pipes, so don't think you're limiting yourself in where you might be able to explore. The next power-up is the Bubble Flower. With this, Mario can shoot bubbles forward which can envelop enemies and turn them into coins. The timing can take a bit to get used to, but you can also jump on the bubbles as a one-time spring, effective for reaching difficult platforms and areas. The final new power-up is the Drill Mushroom, and it's probably my favorite. After changing into a drill suit, Mario can dig himself into the ground or ceiling of most areas. Doing so will allow you to bypass enemies and obstacles, as well as give you the option for different routes if available. You're also protected from certain aerial attacks, and you can break specific blocks with ease. These three wondrous power-ups are great additions and allow players to experience the levels in unique ways, but the real surprise comes from the Wonder Flower usually hidden somewhere within each level. As you come in contact with one, a temporary, timed in-game event will happen, usually related to the level itself changing in some way, and the goal is to find and retrieve a Wonder Seed which will return the level back to normal. It's always a surprise to see what will happen, some of which are quite humorous, exciting, or both. A unique addition to the game were these talking flowers, and when I say talking, I mean they actually have a voice. The flowers will comment, compliment, or even lightly assist players as they traverse through. I've heard there's some controversy, but I usually didn't mind them chiming in here and there. Some of their lines were kind of funny, although if you just happened to keep near one for a while, it would repeat the same line over and over, which got annoying. Within each level are purple flower coins. When collected, you can use them to purchase various items at vendors. Such items include 1-up mushrooms, additional Wonder Seeds, which are used to access new levels and areas of the map, and a new, never-before-seen item, standies. After spending 10 flower coins, you'll be rewarded with a random standee of a character, which is a certain pose of that character. Standees is a way to communicate with online players. If you have the online settings active, other players can play the level you're on, and vice versa, in relation to you with them. Besides crouching, you and your fellow ghosts can communicate with standees. Quite limited, however, they were good at telling other players where hidden blocks and secrets were. I at first didn't think I would enjoy online mode since I prefer to play alone when it comes to 2D platformers, but online play was actually quite fun. Everyone could play at their own pace, and the screen always stayed locked onto you. It was kind of cool to see the other players go through the level, as they didn't actually interact with your surroundings, but their own in their own game, but you could still see each other in a live setting. If you have online mode active, the game is super generous in keeping you alive. If you die, you can be revived by touching another player or another player's standee within 5 seconds of death. There didn't seem to be a limit to how many times you could be revived, and this was especially helpful in areas where platforms were scarce. If you revive a player, you'll receive heart points to your character. They don't have any utility purpose, but it's kind of cool nonetheless. You also receive heart points for finishing levels at the same time with online players. Another major gameplay addition were badges. While you could only wear one at a time, each badge would give you a different, unique ability that could help you in your journey, such as gently floating down with your hat, being able to begin any level with a super mushroom, or basically having a double jump, which was definitely my favorite. Badges could be purchased at vendors, but most required you to complete a challenge where using the ability of the badge was the point of the level. As I said, I prefer to play solo when it comes to these types of games, and, well, the same is true for this one. Up to 4 people can play together, but unless you have a great leader and 3 soldiers who don't mind being told what to do, each level can become borderline chaos. The camera always centers on one player, which means the other 3 automatically have a disadvantage. Keeping up with the focus player limits the gameplay and freedom of the others, and I just find it to be more of a chore than fun, even if I was the camera's favorite. I'm not saying there isn't fun to be had when playing co-op, but I definitely prefer saving the kingdom by myself. The graphics are charming, to say the least. The characters all have a smile when running through the levels, and there are specific notes of attention to detail that I just love. Examples being how Mario reaches for his hat after entering a horizontal pipe, or like how a drum roll begins when performing a ground pound with a cymbal crash at the end. One of my favorites is how enemies will furrow their brow when Mario gets too close. These small elements build up the overall charm of the game, and they're all highly appreciated. Even the art style, while slightly different, is a nice fresh look to the franchise. I couldn't help but think of the way Mario looked on the cover of Nintendo Power Issue 1 when Mario acquired a Super Mushroom in this game. The controls are basically perfect. I don't really know what to say here. Nintendo has been doing this for so long, I'd be surprised if I experienced anything less. The boss fights were creative, yet a bit disappointing due to the lack of overall challenge. Even the later boss fights weren't anything to sweat over. The final boss was fun with a good balance of difficulty, but the rest were okay at best. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a wondrous game, and one of the best 2D platformers I've ever played. As of this review, is it the best 2D Mario platformer? I'd say it's at least a contender. I wish there were more levels, although there can be quite a bit of replayability depending on how much you found as you played through. And while most of the boss fights were somewhat underwhelming, they were still overall fun. With fantastic level design, high attention to detail, and a variety of different ways to play via the badges and online elements, it's just fun. It's a great example of gaming fun. This game gets a 4.5 out of 5 with the title of Epic.